Hello, Pisces. I know it's been quite a long time since I've done a reading for you guys, and I think part of that has to do with the fact that I almost feel like in doing a reading for you, I'm doing a reading for myself. I have both of my luminaries in Aries, but I have a stellium in Pisces, so I feel like everything that's affecting Pisces is affecting me. And so I feel like I'm sort of in the trenches with you guys in a way. And I don't know, I just feel like there hasn't been much outward progress on the Pisces front. I feel like there's a lot of things being explored internally, a lot of new ideas and concepts and approaches to looking at things. And I feel like there's a lot of new boundaries being put up in the Piscean ocean, for better or worse. But I think in a lot of ways, it sort of just feels like, I feel like a mangrove tree is the most perfect image for the role and the form that Pisces energy is taking right now. Just trying to stabilize the shores by growing these very alien, strange root structures. Like, I don't know if any of you guys have actually seen like a mangrove swamp, but they're very odd places to be just because of how contrarian mangrove trees appear to be. But yeah, it's like there's so much diffuse, unsettled, uncertain energy floating around right now, which is already sort of what it's like to have heavy Pisces placements, is to always be steeped in an environment of uncertainty and diffusion. And I feel like in a lot of ways, the overwhelming external prevalence of that energy is forcing Pisces to act as the stabilizers, the roots, the sand breaks, I think is what they're called. Anyway, there's just a lot happening, and I've been thinking about your reading for several weeks now, trying to connect and trying to see what needs to come through for you guys, and it's just been like, it's a lot. It's like trying to funnel these huge, like, cosmic level concepts into something that's smaller than the tip of a pen. Like, it's very difficult. And that's always the case for Pisces, but it's just more so now than ever. There's just so much energy coming through, and it's kind of, I don't know about y'all, but I've been very tired. Like, I've been working very hard, doing a lot of things, and it's like there's really no time for me personally to really sit back and connect with my space, other than maybe an hour or two here or there. And quite frankly, that's part of the reason why I haven't done very many readings lately, because when I do have that downtime, I'm like, I want to use it for me. It takes a lot of energy to put these readings out there. But I want to be here. I want to put something out for you guys, and I want to maintain at least some level of momentum with these readings. All that aside, goodness gracious, I'm using a very old deck. This is the Tree of Life Tarot. This particular deck is older than me. I think this particular deck was printed in the 80s, like early 80s. And it's kind of a long story how I ended up with it, but I'm going to use it today just primarily because, not because of the imagery. The imagery is very stark and basic. More so because of the attributions that are included on the card. So obviously, what is this? Princess of Wands. So it's showing you the fire triplicity, but if you get like any of the minor arcana cards, it'll show you the decan associated with that particular card and what particular sign, element, triplicity, that sort of thing. And I kind of wanted those prompts to be there because I don't want to be worried about trying to remember the left brain rational aspect of the cards that are coming through. I just want there to be quick prompts that I can go off into right brain space with for this particular reading. I don't have the bandwidth. I do not have the bandwidth right now for this. So, Pisces. I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited for Saturn and for Neptune to get out of those late degrees of Pisces. It's grinding over a lot of my natal placements. It is what it is. Okay. So the first two cards that are coming through for you guys right now, we have the Ace of Swords, so activating that air triplicity, and we also have the Two of Swords, so more air triplicity. This specifically is the first decan of Libra, typically moon ruled decan, but I think it's interesting that there's air energy opening up this particular reading, because it does sort of point to this need for a more cerebral approach to things, like really thinking through and processing what's happening outside, rather than being in a very intuitive space of trying to feel the reality of things. It's like you're not going to get any reliable information doing that. Not to say that you can't, but I mean, I think this is a time for Pisces, and maybe for water signs in general, but we won't get that far, to really employ a different aspect of their psyche, the more rational, logical, putting pieces together, really understanding concepts, and trying to communicate the understandings that come through as a result of that. Ace of Swords, typically when I connect with the Ace of Swords, it's very much like this insight sort of surfacing in consciousness, and it can be kind of confrontational sometimes. It doesn't have to be. It can be really exciting to sort of contend with a new idea and a new perspective on things, because you can kind of revolutionize your approach to life in some arena, sort of initiate new habits, leave behind old ones, that sort of thing. And it's also kind of exciting to connect with our lives and with our environments when we're operating within a new mental paradigm of sorts. Even if it's a subtle shift, it doesn't have to be something groundbreaking. But I think also fundamental to this card and to the air element in general is just this aspect of trying to connect with another person or with other people, and trying to bridge the very unique perspectives that different people have by way of communication, by way of trying to help someone else understand where we're coming from, trying to help someone else understand a concept that's surfacing in our consciousness. Especially with this Two of Swords card here, really activating the Libra side of things, which is very much about interpersonal communication, very much about trying to harmonize with another perspective, with another being, another person. Very externalized energy. Also with this card, I think because of the lunar emphasis in this decan, it's very much communicating to me this need for detachment, as close to objectivity as one can muster, because I feel like there's going to be... We'll pull some more cards, because I am getting something, but I don't want to go off too far on a tangent, only to be reeled back in by something else that comes through. So let's see before I get lost in whatever that was. The Aeon. The major arcana cards on this deck, I'm not super familiar with, but I think this card connects with the World card. Yeah, you get the 20 right there. Now this card, I'm not going to get into the Sephiroth of the Tree of Life, because I'm familiar with the Kabbalah, but like it's not my strongest suit. I know there's some associations here with, at least with the Mercury Sephira right here, maybe bridging that with the Earth here. Malkuth, I don't remember. Malkuth. I don't remember what the names of all 10 of them are. It also has some Pluto activation according to this deck. The way I think of the world within the tarot is as a receptacle for all this sort of cosmic energy. And I feel like this to me is really connecting back to what I was saying earlier about trying to funnel these very cosmic concepts and energies into a very narrow point. It's a very difficult process, but the Earth does it perfectly. The Earth is constantly receiving extraterrestrial emanations, for lack of a better way to put it. Very much modulated by the lunar-solar relationship that's happening at any particular moment, the phase of the moon, that sort of thing. But it very much crystallizes here on this plane, on this planet, in a way that humans are very effectively equipped to manifest within and play around with, or at times sort of become victim to these energies if we're not being conscious of our decision making and our approaches to things. It's very much giving me this idea of like a psychopomp, this sort of guide that is there after death to help guide you to the appropriate spaces, the appropriate beings, the appropriate experiences. And I feel very much like that's what I'm feeling the role for Pisces is right now, and kind of what I was talking about with the mangroves of like trying to stabilize, trying to provide ground with or shelter for other people who are not so familiar with this very diffuse and confusing energy that's everywhere. And of course, that can be very draining, very difficult for any one person to tackle. But I think maybe what this emphasis of the air sort of opening this reading is communicating is that there is a need to connect with other people who maybe not necessarily share your perspective or belief on how reality operates, on where the energy is right now. Maybe they have a different perspective, a different experience of how things are playing out right now, but it's very important to have counterbalance. It's very important to have somebody you can express your experiences to, and it's going to help ground you, it's going to help stabilize you, it's going to help maybe provide space within which you can sort of shape your role, so to speak, shape your understanding. These are just like very abstract concepts that are sort of coming through right now. No, this card wants to come out. Okay. So Princess of Wands. This is the air, the fire triplicity. I'm going to put you right there next to this card. The image that's coming to mind right now, if we were to put you into the Princess of Wands, like this is the role that you're taking, I see it as like these air cards are coming through and it's sort of representing all this different energy sort of in like a spiraling motion, sort of converging in on you, but being very much funneled into some staff or some sort of apparatus that you're holding to gather these energies and to sort of contain them, and also to focus them into like a singular. Like I'm looking at this line right here communicating the number two. It's like this a wand, a staff, for Princess of Staffs. But what's happening is this energy is sort of converging in on you, and you are predisposed to work with it in some unique way. and I'm seeing it sort of bursting out in quick succession, little bursts here and there of creative output. But it's almost like that's just letting off the excess. I almost feel like it's still charging up. It's so weird. Like this idea of all the energy sort of converging in on you and you're containing it, and yeah, there's little bursts of output, bursts of activity, maybe creative projects that sort of happen, but there's very much this energy of generally containing and building and building and building and building. It's almost like there's this sense of needing to prepare for something, of yeah, there's things that I need to do right now, and there's, moments where I want to just make something or do something just for the sake of doing it or creating something, but I fundamentally feel in the core of my being that I don't need to be putting all of my energy into that thing, because it's not the time for that approach yet, is kind of what I'm getting. Pisces just feels very much attuned to the cosmic rhythms and very much aware of when the right time to output energy in a specific way is appropriate. At least that's kind of what I feel for the Pisces verse right now. So maybe if you are kind of operating outside of that approach of just kind of doing whatever whenever without really containing or trying to I'm trying to think of the word. It's almost like not necessarily hibernation, but similar. Just making sure that you have energy available for you, to you, once the next thing happens. Like I feel like you're almost holding your breath, or like you should be holding your breath. Not literally, please breathe. But it's like this is the pause before the flurry of activity starts. Nine of Cups is coming through, and this is the middle decan of Pisces, your sign. It's interesting. Because this decan to me is very much communicating this idea of output, this idea of, because of the double Jupiter association, Jupiter being the domicile lord of Pisces, but also the ruler of this particular decan, this need to externalize and to share and to grow a certain force, a certain energy, a certain concept, a certain idea even, and provide it with the resources that it needs, the opportunity that it needs. But I also think that this decan, this card in particular, is communicating ownership, not in a Taurian way, not in the sense of I have these things and these things are mine. I have this energy available to me and this energy is mine. It's not about that. It's more of taking responsibility for the resources, both inner and outer, that you have, and knowing when it's appropriate to draw from the reserves and when to initiate activity for your own benefit. But I think also with Jupiter and with water signs in general, this need to have empathy and compassion for other people and know when it's appropriate for you to sort of dip into the pool to nurture and care for other people around you. Maybe that's something that the period of time, whatever that's being alluded to, where the flurry of activity starts, that's upcoming. Maybe that's kind of a role that you're going to be partaking in. Like I'm seeing, literally seeing somebody, it's like a food, a soup kitchen for the homeless. And it's like I'm seeing Pisces, specifically with like a Jupiterian visage, like a guise of Jupiter, being the person that's holding the ladle, dipping into the soup pot, and dropping the soup into the bowls to hand out to the people that are hungry, that are in need. And it's like that's the role that you're going to be, or that you are enacting. And it's like this is the period of reinforcement. This is the seed period where the idea of that approach, or the idea of the world that's going to be in the future, is starting to take root in your mind. And it's like cellular division. It's building, it's becoming something more than what it was when it first arose in your awareness, in your consciousness. But it's like it's important for you to network. It's important for you to talk to other people and to gather from them new understandings of this idea or ideas, and connect with them also for the opportunities that knowing more people will bring, because I feel like that's what's going to help get you into the right place at the right time for whatever this new role for you is. It's very interesting because I'm hearing this concept of like auditioning. Like you've already passed the audition, you've been selected, you've been chosen, you underwent the test and came out the other side with a verdict, either in your favor or not. But fundamentally, I think it's in your favor because it's it's the sorting hat. You're going in the direction that you need to be going based on your particular profinities and I think profinities is the right word. It doesn't seem like a right word to me. Proclivities. Your particular approach is going to be useful on a particular path, and the cosmic sorting hat has just sorted you into the path that's appropriate for you. Does that make sense? Based on the choices that you made, based on the perspectives that you hold, the people that you know, the places that you inhabit or frequent, all of that is guiding you towards this, because this feels very much to me like a sort of culmination card. This is the right place at the right time because of fate, because of the choices that you've made, the timelines that you've decided upon. And I think fundamentally it'll be very fulfilling because, of course, this card in this deck is called Happiness, and I think it's because of that very heavy Jupiter influence. Jupiter being the card of joy, of abundance, of optimism, of forward thinking, in a way that's very open and positive and inclusive. Yeah, and then with this card, I'm coming back to this card because I feel like this comes about as a result of finding a way to transmit these less corporeal ideas and concepts and even connections with other people into something practical and useful and grounded in the world. Very much like gathering those energies together and utilizing them to create something. Maybe even, I'm hearing, taking upon yourself a role of leadership, which I think is interesting. Because there may be a tendency for Pisces to kind of sit back and take a lesser role. Not because you're capable of less, but because it becomes overwhelming to be at the front in the way that an Aries might like to be. taking charge. Pisces just kind of wants, not necessarily to not do anything and to be passive, but doesn't want to be the cutting edge of something. That's not what they're here for. At least that's what they tell themselves. But I feel like the medicine in this situation is to maybe embody some more of that and to take more initiative, to be less hesitant, to take responsibility for, or to operate from a more authoritarian leadership role in a situation, maybe within your own life, instead of waiting for other people to sort of tell you where it is that you need to go, what it is that you need to do. Maybe just taking a look around, seeing where you are, what's available to you, and making something where you are. Because nothing is going to happen if you don't do that. At least nothing that you want to happen. Because life will continue moving with or without you, but it's a matter of you shaping the flow within your own life in order to end up in the destination that you have in mind. I love that this is the card that came out next, the Emperor card. Mars, Aries energy. Like, this is very much going back to what I was saying of taking this leadership role, taking responsibility for where you are in your own life. And maybe this is what we're moving towards, out of this sort of waiting period, holding our breath, expecting something to come, and really initiating the actions necessary to get somewhere, to have an end result manifest. I think it's kind of interesting that the reading sort of started out with me talking about being in this space of expectancy, of waiting for something, waiting for a different time period to come in, and really holding and containing energies, and so that we're ready to face this particular period. And maybe this is communicating that once that period of time comes where the activity is sort of expected of us, that we're not afraid to use it. We're not afraid to operate from that space. We're not afraid to be decisive, to be bold, to be to act fundamentally, and not getting lost in this, but let me consider the consequences of these actions for 20 days before I even decide to do something. Like, it's not going to be appropriate for what chapter of your life is coming. Like, you won't have time to ruminate. You won't have time to sit and think about things for forever and ever and ever, and decide. By virtue of not deciding, make a decision, or have the decision made for you, rather. Like, that's not going to cut it anymore. I feel like that's been the approach for too long, collectively, but fundamentally the collective is an expression of the subjective. What it is, the approaches that you take in your own life are the approaches that are going to be expressed in the world outside. If you're not taking charge of your life, if you're not taking responsibility for your own happiness or for the improvement of the lives around you, the environment around you, nothing is going to change fundamentally. I know it's a cliche and we hear it all the time, but the change that we hope to see in the world out there starts with us here in the spaces we inhabit, in the social circles that we operate within. It starts here. It starts with you. You're the seed. You're the one who takes initiative, who shapes and brings new ideas and concepts into the world. You are the conduit through which the universe is born. So really taking responsibility for, taking charge of how the energy comes through you, in order to create something, to bring something into the world. And my candle just popped and was like, okay, the reading is over. Yeah. All right, y'all. Hopefully this all made sense. I think if you're still confused about things, I think the best thing to do right now is to go outside and to be in somewhere where you're surrounded by plants and you get some sunshine and fresh air. I know personally I can be overthinking 1,000 things, but the minute I go outside and move my legs, and maybe not even move my legs, sit somewhere in the grass under the trees, feel the sun on my skin, and just breathe in the fresh air blowing through the trees, everything goes quiet. Problems don't exist anymore. Right where you need to be, right where I need to be. So maybe find a way to sort of connect with the medicine of just simply being in the world, of the world, and really connecting with that grounding, stabilizing energy so that you're more able to be a source of grounding and stability, both for yourself and for the people around you, because I think that's going to be very important and is very important, especially right now. Diffusion is a given. Confusion is a given right now. We need less this and more this. Fix, hold, steady, grow. You know, if every new event, if every new idea, if every new invention just comes blowing through your life and you just topple over every single time, you're never going to grow. You're never going to get anywhere. You need to find something to set your roots into, to stabilize yourself with. Otherwise, you won't be able to provide shelter for yourself or for other people. So focus on setting the roots. Focus on bridging the gap between the spiritual, the intellectual with the real world. Making decisions that have real world effects and consequences. Hopefully for the better. Okay? Wishing you all the best, Pisces. And I will hopefully see you sooner rather than later.